The history and origin of Lloyd Minor Blues chicken. I have two strains of blues, one a strictly straight comb strain, the other of all roundhead blood. I shall give you the history of the straight comb strain first because they were the first fowl that I really bred. I owned my first gamecock about 25 years ago. At that time the village of Cornell had some men who kept a few half-mile running horses, a few scrub gamecocks and boasted of one real 100-yard dash men. Every summer many covered wagon loads of gypsies passed through Cornell. They made money trading horses, racing horses and gamefowls. Professional foot racers traveled with them. We had saloons then and the little village was pretty sporty, would gamble on anything. I took in the horse races, foot races, and gamefowls. Several of us young fellows liked the gamecocks very much, so we all bought cheap cocks and started in the game. There were 7 or 8 of us started in the game at that time. A few years later I secured 20 subscribers to Derby Game Bird for a premium of Gregory Gaffs. All of these boys finally quit the game except George Hazel and me. George quit about 3 years ago and moved to South Bend, Indiana, from there to Chicago, and not long ago I received a letter from him in Denver, Colorado, in which he said that he wanted a trio of the old straight comb blues as soon as he got located where he could keep chickens. I am getting off my track, so I will go back to the time we were raising chickens among ourselves. At that time I was working in my father's store and a man by the name of Ed Foley ran a hotel next door. He had a large backyard and one day I noticed a beautiful blue-red game cock running in this yard with some dunghill hens. I asked Foley what breed he was and what he would take for him, and he replied that he was one of Nick Vipond's blues and did not belong to him, that he was only walking him for Nick, but for me to go to Streator, which is 15 miles from Cornell, and see old Nick and he would perhaps sell me a cock. I got my best friend, George Hazel, and we went to Streator and looked up Nick. It was not hard to find him as he ran a saloon in the main part of the city. He took us to his home and showed us many fine cocks in pens. We each bought one and could hardly wait until we got home to tackle some of the boys for a scrap. The next day both cocks were fought and both won. After that day both of us bothered old Nick quite often. We must have been an awful pest to him, and I often wonder how he had the patience to fool with us. However, he seemed to take a liking to us and would let us watch him condition cocks upstairs over his saloon in the winter and at his home in his barn during the warmer months. He taught us how to hold a cock and how to work him, and to this day I have never seen a man who could put a cock through his work and not break a feather as he could. He had a world of patience with a biting cock and his condition was good, but now I think that he pulled his cocks too low for them to be at their best. Nick traveled and fought his cocks and also fought mains against Call Minton, George A. Fuller, the Red Hornet Man, at that time of Springfield, Illinois, and many others. Like most others, Nick had other fowl besides his blues, some good and some bad, some of them belonging to other parties that he would condition for them. Years have proven that his blues were the best that he had and were the only ones that he kept when he got old. The straight comb minor blues that I breed today are direct descendants of the best and last brood yards of Nick Vipond's blues. Just what blood these blues are no one really knows. Many have asked Nick what blood they were and I have asked him where he got them, but he never would say, his reply being to all, "They are my old blues." However, Nick was born in Wales. He moved from Pennsylvania to Streator over 50 years ago, was a coal miner and later went into the saloon business. He brought with him from Pennsylvania some very dark blue foe. Dark eyes and dark legs. Some say that they were imported from Ireland and that Nick bought them from a man in the East who needed money badly. However, I do not know that this is true, and doubt if there is anyone who does know, but I do know that the first fowl that I saw at his place was dark blue. Later he had a very beautiful, white leg, red-eyed, light red cock over some blue hens, and in a short time he had many white leg and yellow leg blues of different shades of lighter blues, also many light red with whiter yellow legs. I asked him one day what the white leg red cock was and he said that he was just the same as the blues and added that some of them came red. I bought a 4.14 white leg red cock of him that had one bottom weight in one of his mains and 6 dark blue hens. My friend Hazel bought a 5.04 dark blue, slip leg cock and 2 dark blue hens. I had the pleasure of being in on the last 3 mains that Nick fought. My friend George Hazel was also in on one, these being fought against local parties. In 2 of the mains he won every match but won and lost but one main, by the odd. After the last main, which he won, he told Hazel and me that he was going to give each of us a good cock that had won in the main and tell us how to breed them. We already had 8 dark blue hens, the dark blue slip leg cock and the white leg 4.14 cock, then he gave Hazel the white leg red 6.02 cock. This cock was old, but did not show it, and had won quickly in the main. A year or two before Hazel had asked Nick to price this cock, but he would never do it. When Nick gave Hazel the cock he told him that since he had always wanted him so badly that he would make him a present of the cock and told him to breed him over the pullets from the slip leg blue. He then gave me a fine young 5.08 dark blue cock that had won a sensational battle in the main and told me to breed him to the pullets from the 4.14 red. I never got a picture of the slip leg nor the old white leg red Hazel got, but I had a photographer take a picture of the 4.14 red and I took a snapshot of the 5.08 blue. The one I took is not clear, but I am sending both for you to print. Hazel and I bred these 4 cocks and 8 hens just as we were told to do and exchanged stags and pullets each year and mated more yards. We could do this nicely with 4 yards to draw from. At about the same time that we got the last 2 cocks from Nick, a friend of mine named Harry Rucker, who lived in Cornell, bought a 3-time winner brown red, white leg cock from Nick and bred him on some dom hens he had, and 2 years later Hazel bought this Vipond cock from Rucker and later bred him over daughters of the slip leg. About 10 years ago, Nick quit the business and moved to Chicago, later moving to either Marion, Ohio or Indiana, I have forgotten which, and finally came back to Streator where he died about 3 years ago. When he moved to Chicago he sold all of his fowl except 2 large dark blue hens and 1 large white leg hen. These he would not sell. He called on me just a short time before he left and brought these 3 hens and asked if I would keep them for him, said that his daughter was sick and that he and his wife must go and live with her and that they had no place to keep chickens. I kept the hens and bred them single-mated. I have a letter that Nick wrote to me sent from Chicago, about 11 years ago, asking me to have his hens caught up as he would be after them soon. He never bred any more fowl, but came and took one of the blue hens for a friend and gave me the other, the white leg hen having died. My straight comb minor blues I breed today are direct descendants of the 4 cocks and the 8 hens that Hazel and I got from Nick, the cock that Rucker got and the 3 hens that Nick left with me.
Disclaimer: no copyright infringement intended. All music, picture and videos inserted belongs to the rightful owner. For educational, documentary and entertainment purpose only.